And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Court. It's Barnes, and on the other side of the glass, the one and only Renee. What's going on?
Hey, Barnes.
It's Thursday. You know, you're feeling some spring vibe with the sunlight. The temperatures we could work on a little bit, but I guess tomorrow's 70, right?
Oh, tomorrow can be 70?
As far as I knew, last time I checked.
Let's go. Perfect day for us.
Yeah, we will take that for sure. But even if it's not that warm, there's just something like mentally with a lot of light that really just kind of, you know, sets the tone.
Clear sky, sun in the air. You know what it is? Do you know what it is?
The iced coffee.
It's, in the words of Matt, summer.
Summertime,
Yeah.
dude. Oh man, yeah, no, we love it. We love it, of course, and so much to go over, a lot to talk about, and let's just get started in the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. A back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray. There's damage right there. Shohei, way, Cy-Yo, nada, where did that land? Stop to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins and fires. Out at first.
There it goes. See ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
All right. So, you know, we were off yesterday, so we got a couple of Yankee games to recap. And, you know, I would normally, you know, have Renee recap these games since she's watching every pitch. But you know what?
Yeah, you
today,
know, I'll let you
take
have
care
it.
of
I'll let you have it.
I
don't want to bore the people, you know.
So, of course, you know, and as Main Magic Mike says, summertime. Couldn't have hit it right on the head more, Michael, unequivocally. So, you know, tough off day on Monday after losing 2-3 to the lowly Baltimore Orioles. And of course, you know, I was taking it hard, like I always do, you know, live and die with the Yankees. You know, we've known that for a while. So you got this 3-game series in Detroit. We started on Tuesday. And one thing we were looking for, other than the obvious win, was a positive start out of Garrett Cole. And let's just say that's not what we got. But the Yankees did win 4-2, which is obviously the important thing. But Garrett Cole, 1 2/3 innings, 1 hit, 2 runs, you know, both earned, 5 walks. That's not a typo. 5 walks and 3 strikeouts as he sits with a .635 earned run average through 3 starts. What can $36 million buy you per year? So obviously, you know, you hate to see that, and Cole visibly frustrated on the mound. And listen, I am not at all in the excuse-making business, so I don't want to get it twisted. But, you know, I don't think the cold weather helps. I think, you know, velocity and also with hitting, you know, balls fly out in the warmer weather. So I guess it's a give and take. So that, I'm sure it plays some part of it, but you could just tell looking right at Garrett Cole. I mean, this is a mental thing. I don't think it's mechanics. I know, you know, you want to point to spider attack, and I'm sure that's somewhat of an aid, but I think the majority of this is mental, and it's like he can't recover from the disappointment of that wild card start at Fenway Park, which, hey, listen, I mean, it took me a while to recover from that one. But at the same time, I mean, the Yankees need him to be their ace, and they're very fortunate that every other pitcher, you know, on the staff has done their job. And I think they have one of the top earned run averages in the league. I think it sits in the 2s, honestly, but it just seems like every time anybody other than Garrett Cole, they're getting the job done. As Mike chimes in here, Barnes is the best in the business, hands down. Core is horrible, needs the spider. You know, I mean, hard to argue with that, Michael, and I appreciate the kind words. The one thing I will say, like I just mentioned before, I think obviously part of it is Spider because he just, had really, you see the revolutions, the spin rate. It's obviously a lot lower without it, but at the same time, arm talent is arm talent, ability is ability, velocity is velocity. So while he might not get the same amount of spin on his pitches, there's no excuse to pitch like this. And, maybe he's not a $36 million pitcher per season, but he should be at least a $25 million pitcher. And right now he's pitching like a 5-starter or a guy that's about to be removed from the rotation. Now, am I nervous? Yes. But at the same time, am I expecting the bottom to completely fall out? No. Just kind of very early to make assumptions about, how the season's going to end up. But if I had to say, I would say by the end of this season, Garrett Cole, at the very minimum, you're looking at, around 200 innings pitched, maybe about 215, 220 strikeouts, maybe a 3.6 ERA. And I understand we're paying him to have a 2.6 ERA, but the way this is going, I'll take the 3.6 and see what we can get with it. Like I said, he's getting picked up by a lot of his teammates, which is always helpful. And one guy that I'm really excited about is former first-round pick Clark Schmidt. So he came in, Cole's in a bases-loaded jam, and he gets the job done, gives them length, out of the pen, 3 1/3, 2 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and he has a 1.23 ERA this season. So that's a guy we could point to for the future. I mean, he really arguably could be in the rotation right now. But obviously, like, one of his spots that would be open is like something that's being occupied by Jameson Taillon. And I know that, they don't want to move him to the bullpen. But what I would say is, should Taillon falter during the next month or two, I would not be surprised to see Clark Schmidt get some starts. So, we'll see what happens. And unfortunately, injuries are always a part of the game. So, I would love to sit here and tell you all Yankees starters are all making 30 starts, but, that's not realistic. So I'm sure there's going to be some starts for Clark Schmidt, from Luis Heel, from Devi Garcia. But of course, time will tell. And the rest of the way from the pitching staff, all zeros: Wandy Peralta, Clay Holmes, Miguel Castro. Thank you, Tony. And Aroldis Chapman, after that horrendous outing, the previous time out, goes 1-2-3 to pick up a second save of the season. You look at the offense, definitely not booming. And like I said, 30-degree temperatures, high wind chill, being in Michigan, everybody's leaving Michigan. The only reason they're going to the game is they want to see Miguel Cabrera get 3,000 hits. But the Yankees, 6 hits, including, hits from Hicks, from Judge, from Stanton, from LeMahieu, who did have a big, RBI in the 9th inning, give him an insurance run. And as well as 2 from Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who, we'll talk about last night in a second, but he's starting to win me over a little bit here, making contact, which is what the Yankees have needed for years. And Matt's mentioned, about he was riled to see them bunt. They've been doing a ton of base stealing, a ton of bunting, and just something that, growing up as a Yankee fan, albeit, maybe Derek Jeter, Brett Gardner from time to time, would lay down some bunts. It's not something that we're accustomed to, but I think it's something that they're going to go to way more than we've seen them over the previous years, which I think will be a great thing. And you just look at the stolen bases from Tuesday's game. Rizzo had a steal. Hicks had a steal. Kiner-Falefa had 2 steals. So, I mean, we never see that out of the Yankees, but obviously it propels them here to a 4-2 victory. And, it was a welcome sight. So that was the game on Tuesday. And then as, we pull up the box scores yesterday, 5-3 victory. Watch this thing from start to finish. And, you start out with your starting pitcher, right? Because they always say you're only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. And, we had Luis Severino on the hill, and like he has in his other starts, really answering the bell, and now didn't give him a ton of length. But, they're building him up, a couple years off. They obviously want to take it easy. So he goes 5 innings, 7 hits, 1 run, 2 walk, 3 Ks, in 88 pitches. So he sits at a 2.08 ERA, got the no decision in this win because Chad Green, kind of shades of last season, blew up a little bit, going an inning, giving up 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. but he does get the win, which just shows how finicky that win statistic can be. And then you look at the bullpen. Once again, lights out. And Jonathan Loaisiga, who against the Orioles blew up, I think he gave up 4 runs in an inning, which is obviously not ideal. Still has a 7.11 ERA, but did get the hold last night. And then Clay Holmes, 1 inning, 2 strikeouts. It's unbelievable. This guy was a mediocre pitcher on the Pittsburgh Pirates. He comes over for Park, the minor league shortstop the Yankees had that was highly productive, but they didn't see him having a future with the club, with Volpe, with Peraza, just no room for him. And he's just been lights out. 1.29 ERA this season. He had an ERA in the 2s last year. And it really just shows, the work of, pitching coach Matt Blake, and a guy, that I haven't liked, that Matt hasn't liked, just because almost he resembles Aaron Boone, a guy that we've been clawing to get off the team for years. But I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. The bullpen's been unbelievable. The starting pitching has been great, and you have to give it to Matt Blake. I mean, you think about the difference between him and Larry Rothschild. I mean, unbelievable, unequivocal, as I would say. And then you look at the rest of the way. Chapman, a save, does allow his first hit of the year, but does get his 3rd save. So from a pitching perspective, once again, you like what you see. And 5 runs at offense, 6 hits against the Detroit Tigers. I mean, you would like more. Like I said, I'm sure weather has something to do with it, but I mean, you'll take 5 runs. You score 5 runs every night, you're going to win most of your games. And you look at where the offense came from. Anthony Rizzo with his 4th home run of the season, 2 RBIs, as well as a stolen base. So this is something we're seeing the Yankees do it. He stole 3rd base. I mean, I was just not seeing that coming. But it's like you got to be creative, and it's nice to see the Yankees do that. And what I thought was funny too is Gleyber Torres. He looks awful. And I'll be the first one to admit, maybe I was wrong. I was expecting a big season out of him, a bounce-back season, a return to the Gleyber Torres of 2019. Has not looked anywhere close to that. 0 for 4 last night. Average sits at 143. And he bunts. And literally the worst bunt I've ever seen, directly back to the pitcher. Taylor-made double play. They throw it away. The Yankees end up advancing to 3rd on it, end up scoring. And that's what you got to do. You got to play small ball. And then Kiner Falefa, another 2 hits as he sits at 286 with the average. So, you know what? He's kind of, growing over on me a little bit. Who's not growing over on me is Joey Gallo. Defensive replacement last night, didn't start, struck out 4 times on Tuesday, hitting 121. I mean, absolutely atrocious. And me and Tony talked about this the other day, and I stand by it. And don't get this twisted. By no way do I want him on the team. But if it was just a heads up scenario, unequivocally, I would rather have Gardy starting left field than Joey Gallo. He is an embarrassment to baseball. I don't want to hear metrics. I don't want to hear about gold gloves in the field. I don't want to hear about 40 home run power. If you cannot see the ball, you cannot hit the ball, you cannot drive the ball, you are worthless to a major league club. And that's what Joey Gallo is. So it's going to be interesting to see moving forward how much he's starting, how much of a leash is he going to get as he looks atrocious out there. And another guy that looks pretty terrible, Josh Donaldson, batting 174 after an 0 for 2 yesterday. It's just like, I kind of saw this coming. I mean, when they acquired him, I said, he's a guy who's going to hit 215, strike out upwards of 200 times. And, maybe he'll hit 25 home runs, but at 215 and striking all that time, do you want him? And then, here we are. I mean, I don't know if, the numbers, if he's exactly on pace for it, but the point being, doesn't look great. So that's just a situation to keep an eye out for. But all that being said, and all the backlash, all the disappointment, all the lack of offense, I'll be the first one to admit, I mean, it's definitely been a disappointing start right now and very early. But the Yankees sit on top of the division right now at 7-5 with Toronto. So, what I would say is let's get the sweep today. We got a game this afternoon, and we'll get to picks in a second and what we got on the docket for today. But you have an opportunity right in front of you before you have a series over the weekend with Cleveland. And then, going into the season, of course, the Cleveland sell-off, albeit, they did re-sign Jose Ramirez to that extension. They're in first place right now at 6-5. We know they can always pitch. They're a pitching factory. So that's not an easy series by any means. But that's why you want to sweep Detroit and then try to at least get 2 out of 3 against Cleveland over the weekend. But of course, time will tell. And like I said, we'll get to today's game in a second. And just for Tony's sake, we'll talk a little New York Mets. So what it was, they had the rain out on Monday, so doubleheader on Tuesday. And there was no, as we haven't said in a while, a term that we used a lot last year, there was no splitting of the sixes. They did sweep the doubleheader. So you got to give credit where credit is due. A 5-4 victory in game number 1. And, you got Adam Ottavino paying early dividends, to start this season. He picks up the W in extra innings. And then, look from the starting rotation, Tyler McGill, not his trademark start, 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Offense and bullpen bail him out as you get scoreless appearances from Rodriguez, Lugo, Diaz, and obviously Ottavino. From an offensive perspective, you got 5 runs, 8 hits. Lindor with 2 hits, got off to a nice start this season. And then, he had 2 RBIs, and as well as did Jeff McNeil. So against a team like the San Francisco Giants, you will take that every day of the week, and especially you will take game 2, where they also pick up the win. And you take a look at that one, 3-1, and this was the home debut for the one, the only Max Scherzer. Of course, the big offseason acquisition, 7 innings, 1 run, 10 Ks, 3 walks. And you had Trevor May slamming the door for his first save of the season. And you look at it, offensively, a little bit of a struggle. 8 hits, but the Giants only had 2, so you win the game 3-1. Lindor, another 2 hits, average at that point sitting at 310. And you look at the bullpen, Smith put up a scoreless inning as well. And just to hold the Giants to 2 hits. And I understand, they're an offense that is no way elite. Me and Tony have talked about this with their pitching. They had a little more offense. They could win 115 games, but obviously they trot out what they have. And, 1 hit by Ruff, 1 hit by Caselli. That's all they had. And the Mets, for all intensive purposes, despite only scoring 3 runs against a guy like Logan Webb, who we've seen consistently dominate over the past year, he only goes 3 2/3, gives up 6 hits, allows 3 runs, 3 walks as well. So they really got him out of there early, and that's how you win, and that's how you sweep a doubleheader. So, I don't like giving the Mets praise, and I know Tony always thinks it's something personal, and it's just not like that. Just from day one, being a Yankee fan, you like to take your shots at the Mets. That just is what it is. But I know Tony, obviously, the high hopes for this season, and you don't blame him. I mean, bringing in Max Scherzer, anytime you do that, you're going to expect big things. So, hats off to them. But, on the negative side, we have to get to it. They did not get the job done last night as they fall 5-2 to the San Francisco Giants. So this is a game where you had 9 hits, but you only scored 2 runs. And that's just, not taking advantage of your opportunities. You look at it, runners in scoring position, 2 for 8. You had 11 strikeouts, 3 hits from Pete Alonso. That's a welcome sight, but just not enough offense here. You look at the pitching, Bassett, has been great to start the season, but last night was not his night. 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, including allowing a homer to Brandon Belt on his birthday. Of all days, it was actually his first career hit on his birthday. I just heard that on the radio before. You got 2 hits out of Brandon Nimmo. Chasen Shreve gave you a scoreless inning. Sean Reed-Foley gave you 2 scoreless innings out of the pen. But the absolute killer, you had a rally going on in the 8th inning. I think runners on 2nd and 3rd. Dom Smith at the plate. Taylor Rogers in the game for the San Francisco Giants, and he lines one to who? The former Met, Wilmer Flores, snags it, and it would have, made the game 5-4. Instead, end of inning, and the Mets are unable to rally against Jake McGee in the save with Doval getting the day off. He was warming just in case. And the Mets lose. And, listen, 2 out of 3 against a quality opponent early in the season, like the San Francisco Giants. You take it every day of the week. And I think a tough thing was Carlos Rodon. And that's a guy that I felt, I get it with the injury last year. Everyone wasn't sure how he was going to hold up, but he was marvelous once again. 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts to a tune of a 1.06 ERA this season. He's been tremendous. So when a guy's rolling like that, it's hard to say, that you really have a chance. And obviously yesterday, that was just not the case for the Mets. So that being said, just taking a look pick wise, and I did get Tony's picks for today, so I'll give you those in a second in terms of baseball. But he had a strong day, I believe 4-2 to bring him to 33-21. I was great in baseball, 3-0, but 0-3 in hockey. So I go to 32-22. So once again, all there for the taking as that May 8th deadline looms in terms of, are we going to Yankee Stadium? Are we going to Citi Field? So another 6 picks for today. And I'm going to read off what Tony had sent me in terms of, his picks for baseball. He's going White Sox, A's, and Mets. So I'm going to just enter those in on the old Google Doc. A's, Mets. So those are 3 baseball picks. And I mean, you look at this, going back to the well with the Mets, he will take the Mets every day of the week. And is it hard to argue? Is it crazy to say I would take the Yankees every night? I probably will. There might be a certain matchup where, I'd be a little leery of, just maybe based on a pitching matchup. Tony says, Renee, to check the comments. We got anything crazy?
Yeah, we have a lot of comments.
I don't know why I didn't see them. I had it up on my phone, but what do we got?
All right, let's see. I'm going to go with some questions.
Okay.
Hold on. Matt and Mike. What do you think about Hicks now, Barnes? Says Mike. Ask Mike.
Hicks is playing his ass off. There's no other way to say it. And I'll be the first one to admit, making fun of how, he walks top of the lineup, he's hitting 190. But maybe, just maybe, the last couple of seasons he wasn't healthy. Clearly he wasn't. He missed most of the season last year. So maybe a healthy Aaron Hicks. We see a guy similar to 2019. I've always really liked him for his defense. But listen, if he's going to steal some bags, he's going to score from first on a single, he's going to hit some home runs, I'm all for it. I'm all for giving him the chance. All I want to see, though, is if he falters, I want Florial to get a shot. But if he's performing like this, he's the Yankees starting center fielder all season.
Matt says Glaber sucks. And then he goes, yeah, Barnes, you were pumped about Donaldson. Haha. Too bad the Bluefish aren't around still. Gallo could play there.
Matt said that?
Yeah.
Hard to argue with that at all. It is a little easy to argue because I don't even know if Gallo could play for the Bluefish, honestly. He looks so bad. It almost reminds me of last year on Sunday Night Baseball when A-Rod said Stanton's not ready to hit. That's what it really reminds me of. He just, cannot hit water falling out of a boat. So hard to argue with Matthew there.
This is Mike texting for Tony. Tony saying, no, you were high and mighty on Donaldson coming. Check the tape, says Tony. And he also says, Mad Max Gerald, you say mid-season. I said, fuck you.
Wait. What did he say that again?
He said, Mad Max Gerard, you say mid-season.
Mad Max Gerard.
Look. He said, fuck you. Tony,
maybe you could offer some clarification on that. But if you can, we'd appreciate it.
Oh, Mad Max heard you say mid-season.
Midseason what,
Wait,
though?
hold on. I think we have someone calling in. Hold on.
All right.
Yes. Never mind. I'll call him right back. Okay, yeah, that's the comments.
Okay. So just wanted to get those in, little chirps. So Mets today, 110. So this is the fourth game of this series against the Giants. DeScalvani versus Carrasco. And I'm just telling you, Tony, listen, like I said, Mets has done a great job. You're playing with fire, taking the Mets today. Number one, winning those first two games. Would you think they were going to win all four? Obviously, they don't win last night. And then number two, Carrasco was absolutely trash last year. I know he has a .84 ERA this season. Law of averages. This is not going to be close. I'm going to say it's going to be Giants 7, Mets 0. So just keep an eye out for that. You go White Sox over Guardians. I like that one. I think the White Sox are disappointed that they weren't able to get the job done. And then I believe the A's was your last pick. Blackburn versus Wells. Love it. Orioles suck. Yankees should have taken advantage of them. So I'll give you credit where credit's due. Do we have someone on the line, Renee?
In 1 minute.
Okay. So while we're taking care of that, I'm going to just go with my 3 picks here. First one, I am going with the Toronto Blue Jays over the Boston Red Sox. Kevin Gausman versus Tanner Houck. Love Houck. Think he has, a talented arm. Hopefully he doesn't come back to haunt the Yankees, but I just think he's still building up his arm strength. He's not going to give him length. Gausman might shut down the Red Sox here. So give me the Blue Jays 5-1 with 2 home runs from Vladdy. Pick number 2, I am going to go with this is actually a tough one, but you know what? I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers. Okay. Very, very disappointing start to the year. 2-9. They're in Seattle. Taylor Hearn versus Marco Gonzalez. And I just think law of averages, we're going to have huge games from Corey Seager, from Marcus Semien. I'm going to say Rangers here, light up the scoreboard 8-4, including 2 dingers from Seager. He was a guy the Yankees, expected to bring in. Obviously, the contract got too crazy. And lastly, my third pick here for baseball, I am going to go with the Miami Marlins hosting the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals going with the opener, Jordan Hicks. Do not like the whole opener scenario. And I think, there was a lot of hype about the Marlins, from spring training. Oh, this team looks so great. 4-7 start. Pablo Lopez, 1-0, .87 ERA to start this year. Give me the W. Give me the Marlins here as my third and final pick for the baseball segment. So I have Blue Jays, Rangers, Marlins, White Sox, A's, Mets. What do we got, Renee?
Let's see if maybe our caller has something to say about that.
All right, let's see it.
Michael, you are live on the Sports Port.
Well, it's Michael and Tony. It's actually Tony here. I just wanted to clear up my name a little bit because Michael's been quoting me massively wrong.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Sorry, technical difficulties. All right, go ahead.
We're doing a little switcherooski.
Hi, Bart. Can you hear me?
Michael, how are we,
That's
bud?
Tony.
Tony. All right.
Yeah, get your headset on, Bart, so knock the cable out. Tony calling in, first time caller, long time fan. I just want to clear my name up because Mike was commenting. Fingers. It's not fingers because I'm on the phone correct. I was saying that Mad Max heard you say mid-season IL stint and said, fuck you, because you could be here for the long haul. Sling it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing there, Tony, I mean, what does him dominating, the other day, pitching well this month, pitching well next month, what does that have to do with breaking down mid-season? Still could happen. Watch out for it.
It's not going to happen.
Older pitcher, a lot of wear and tear over the years. I wouldn't be.
Aaron Judge ages before Max Scherzer breaks down.
I guess time will tell.
Yeah, certainly. By the way, your pick for the Rangers tonight, you're out of your mind, Bart. 8-4. There's no way they're producing that many runs.
But that's one of those things. It's a trap. Oh no, they have no shot. And then what happens? Just saying.
No, dude, you're spreading misinformation that you take down off the internet.
One thing I will acknowledge, though, is I was looking through the games and I just was down a little too far. Missed the Yankee game at the top. I mean, I like including that in my picks, but, I already said them. So not going to add it illegally. But I just wanted to talk about Jordan Montgomery, Michael Pineda. Just curious here. Do the Yankees get the sweep tonight, Tony? Or today, sorry, 110.
Yeah, I think so. Did they play on 110 today?
Yes. Yeah, actually, believe it or not, okay, so after 4 o'clock, there's only 3 games tonight.
That sucks.
Yeah, they never did that. I think that's a new thing in terms of the early day games on Thursday. But what do you think? You think we're getting a sweep here?
I think tonight, yeah, he definitely will. Even if the Yankees are making mistakes and not producing enough offense, I feel like Detroit's going to shoot themselves in the foot regardless. So I think it'd be good, either 4-2 or 5-2 victory. But it should be interesting to see, honestly, what I'm most curious about the Yankees is really how Cole ends up, because I think he's going to be a big problem for you guys. I know you guys already talked about it, but I'd be really worried if I were you about Cole.
Yeah, the only reason I'm not is I'm really excited about all the other pitchers on the staff. I think they've performed really well. I think Nestor Cortez, man. I mean, I know I've talked about it to nauseum, Tony, but he answers the bell every time. Severino looks electric. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot to be excited about. Clark Schmidt out of the pen. I mean, that's all good stuff right there.
I know, dude. You can never talk too much about Nestor Cortez. It's kind of funny because I agree. I mean, the rest of the pitching staff for the Yankees have been doing really well, and it's funny because, like, with the Mets, I mean, obviously DeGrom has been out, but the rest of their pitching staff is doing really well. And it's nice to see New York kind of, coming along here just baseball. Mike was just talking about how, like, just baseball is better when New York is doing well.
Yeah. I mean, really, really hard to argue with that. And I think both teams, I mean, listen, like I said, was saying earlier, it's been a tough start, but the Yankees are in first place right now, so it is all ahead of them. And what do you think about them kind of going against the grain in terms of the Yankee way, all of this bunting and base stealing? Do you think that they're going to continue with this, or do you think this is kind of a strategy that they're going to lean on until the big bats start heating up and the balls start flying out of the building?
That's a pretty good question. I mean, I do really appreciate them, playing this fundamental game. We talked about it last season when they didn't really play like fundamental baseball in terms of bunting and sacrifice to push runners up, or stealing bases and stuff like that. But honestly, I think if the bats do come along for the Yankees, I think they'll still be playing this type of small ball baseball, because I mean that's kind of working for them. So why would they stop it?
Yeah. And I think, Isaiah Connor Falefa, that's the type of player he is. He had a great base hit last night to bring in a run. And it's like, as much as I want the prospects, if he's going to do what he's done the last couple games, I'll allow it for this season, just because it's just so refreshing to have a guy bottom of the lineup, because usually bottom of the lineup is Gary Sanchez striking out 3 times a game, that can come up with 2 outs with a runner on second and score a guy from second with a single, just making contact. It's like something we haven't seen in years.
I know, dude. It's great to see it for the Yankees, and I guess time will tell how well and if they pass develop.
And then just in terms of the Mets, Tony, I mean, obviously disappointing result last night. Nice sweep in the doubleheader the other day. And obviously you picked them in the pick segment for today's game, 110, DeSclafani Carrasco. What's kind of just your blueprint to a victory? What are you expecting to see here?
For tonight, dude, I think it's going to start with Carrasco. Obviously lackluster season to say the least last year, especially with the injury and everything, and just really not pitching well at all, coming back from it. But his first outing was pretty decent. The big storyline was how well the rest of the pitching rotation is doing without DeGrom and Walker, and everyone else like Carrasco and McGill and even Pearson picking up slack. So I think this game's going to start with Carrasco. I'm expecting to see a pretty strong outing from him. You hit the point a little bit that the Giants going to have, although they're still a pretty elite team, they definitely don't have the offense they had last season. So I think Carrasco should kind of shine tonight, and I think our offense definitely beat theirs for sure at that point.
Were you watching live when Flores snagged that liner in the 8th?
Live, I was not, unfortunately, dude. I was at practice last night. Nonetheless, I did watch the highlights this morning when I woke up. I guess you could say it's kind of bittersweet. I kind of like Flores. But yeah, it's tough. I'll say good for him though.
Yeah, a little bit of poetic justice.
Yeah, I would say.
But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens today. But listen, baseball's in full swing, and it's creeping up on us, Tony. That May 8th deadline, separated by one game. I mean, once again, I think we're looking at a wire-to-wire finish.
Barnes, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Unequivocally. Oh, man. Anything else you got for me, Tony?
That's it, bud. Think so, dude. Go Rangers.
All right, man. We'll talk to you. Appreciate you calling.
Zion to New York. Zion to LA.
The final words.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So yeah, I mean, like I said, baseball's in full swing, bunch of afternoon games, and we'll give you a recap and see where we fall with the Yankees and the Mets. But obviously for the Yankees' sake, it would be great to get that victory to sweep the Tigers and then on to this weekend against Cleveland. And the Mets obviously want to win this series against the Giants. So a lot on the line this afternoon. We'll see what happens. But now let's go to the world of the National Hockey League.
In they come. Evans, what a save by Vasilevsky. Are you kidding me? McAvoy, Frederick, did you get the license plate number on that truck? McDavid, beautiful move. You just knew that Connor McDavid was going to make a statement. What a goal.
All right. So in terms of, the National Hockey League last night, really, I mean, obviously, you look at the box scores. Of course, what's going to stand out is the fact that the Seattle Kraken defeat the Colorado Avalanche. But listen, later on in the season, obviously, the Kraken have had one of the arguably the most disappointing seasons in the NHL, but they're gonna savor this one all off season as they defeat the Avalanche 3-2. Golden Knights in overtime. Theodore with the game winner. So obviously a much needed victory for them as they're fighting to get into the playoffs. Another overtime game. Blackhawks 4, Coyotes 3. As DeBrincat with the game winner in overtime, and then this one was not down to the wire. How about the Edmonton Oilers' 45th victory of the season, 5-2 over the Dallas Stars? Mike Smith looking like Patrick Waugh in net, 34 saves. And the Oilers have really, really turned the season around. They fired the coach. Just the whole, Leon Draisaitl confrontation with that reporter seems like it was years ago. You look at yesterday, Kane had a goal. Hyman had a goal. McDavid had a goal as well as 2 assists. And then you also got Ryan and Paul Javari in the mix as well. Kane, 17 goals since coming over via free agency. I mean, that move has paid dividends. And I just love that I just saw the light with that one, knew it was coming. And I know Tony's listening and waiting and watching for, all hell to break loose in terms of Kane. But I don't know if that's happening. I think he's in an environment where he's succeeding. He's surrounded by talent. He's motivated. And it's just going to be interesting to see, in terms of when the playoffs come up, how Edmonton looks. But I think they've really done a tremendous job of turning their season around. And just, before we get into games for tonight and who me and Tony have picked, just doing one little update here in terms of the standings. So Edmonton right now technically hasn't clinched a playoff spot, but they are in 5th position and 7 points behind St. Louis. So look like they're kind of 5th seed at best, so they would match up against the Blues, but they're tied up with Minnesota. Calgary is only 1 point ahead of them, so they could conceivably play any 3 of those teams. However, I think they're obviously hoping for Minnesota or St. Louis. I think Calgary just is on a different level and could give them trouble. But like me and Tony have said before, Edmonton, conceivably could be anybody on the Western Conference. So that's something interesting to see. But definitely, hats off to them for turning it around. And when we look at the docket for tonight, Tony had sent me his picks, so I'm just going to pull those up. If you just bear with me 1 second here. So he's going the Tampa Bay Lightning over the Toronto Maple Leafs, Buffalo Sabres over the New Jersey Devils. So kind of sticking it to Michael with that one. And then the Blues over the Sharks. So I'm going to just edit the Google Doc here. So we got Lightning, Sabres, and Blues. Okay. So those are his 3 picks. And I have to look at, who I'm going to take here. Let's put this in. Okay. So Blues. And then, big slate tonight, which is nice because, baseball, a lot of day games, not much at night. I know we have NBA and we'll talk about it in a second, but, we love our baseball. We love our hockey. That's just how it is. All right. So one of the highest favorites I've ever seen. I know it's square, but you got to pick up W's when you can. Panthers all day, every day over to the Detroit Red Wings. I almost said Wed Wings again. I've done that before. And Renee liked that one. But yeah, I mean, it just not much needs to be said there. How about Hooper do 111 points, 81 assists, banner season for your Florida Panthers, 55 victories. I think this is going to be 7-1 in favor of Florida. Looking at the other games here, big revenge spot. And unfortunately, me and Tony were on hand for a loss against the Islanders. Rangers looking to pick up one in the series here. I don't even have the daily faceoff off. I don't care if it's a Gorga game. It doesn't matter. Rangers are picking up their 51st victory of the season. Artie Panarin, 2 goals, 2 assists in a 4-1 victory over your Islanders. I am very excited about this team coming down the stretch. I mean, it really has all come together. It's quite remarkable. The job that they have done, after not making the playoffs for a few seasons there. And then my last pick here, I hate taking all favorites and just kind of looking here. I was going to take the Canadiens, but they're actually favored over the Flyers. Canadiens, listen, it is the Flyers, but really don't deserve to be favored over anybody, but got to go with another favorite. Just give me the Flames over the Stars. Gaudreau has played well this year, and Calgary, could finish as high as the 2 seed.
Tony says Eddie Mush.
Oh my God, with Eddie Mush, we had the retirement ceremony. Are you familiar with the whole Eddie Mush scenario, Renee?
I have no idea what Eddie Mush is.
Okay, but I just I just respect an opinion such as yours, Renee. So I just had to poise this to you, and I'm feeling the energy here that you're going to agree with me. But
Matt, I agree with you.
Matt and definitely Tony to an extent at times have really been advocates for saying there's such a thing as a jinx. And I just want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, Renee. Honestly, won't be offended if you don't agree with me, but in my estimation, especially just strictly sports, think about it just from a team winning, a team losing. Please tell me your opinion in terms of someone saying, oh, this team's definitely going to win, or we're going to win the World Series, that actually, when it comes down to it, has any effect on what happens on the field.
No. What other people have to say, like you're saying if someone says we're going to win it,
right?
People say, oh, you're jinxing it. Don't say that.
And then when they lose, it's your fault because you said that. It has nothing to do with it.
Oh, it has nothing to do with it. People just, if we're talking strictly sports. Sports people are crazy sometimes, and they want to put the blame. Like, they're like, you jinxed it. That's why we lost.
Yeah.
No, it's probably because your team sucked.
Right, exactly. And it's like, it's not about what I say. No. It's about what the players do.
No.
And, Tony.
No, like when it comes to, wait, can I say something else?
Yeah.
When it comes to like teams having jinxes or like having like losing streaks where they just lose and lose and lose.
Right.
That I think all goes down to their brains.
Exactly. And it's just like, it's not what I say. It's about what they do on the field. I'll say it time and time again. And it's just, that's what I just can't say. And then it's just, I don't even have the tolerance for it. So that's why we have retired Eddie Mush. So Tony, going against the rules there, bringing it up. How dare you, Tony? How dare you? But yeah, packed slate in hockey. We'll see if the Rangers can pick up another win. And we're almost playoff time, almost colony time. So I know Michael, Matthew, Renee, Tony, everybody's looking forward to colony. But for now, we got to talk about the world of the National Basketball Association.
The Bulls LeBron James at the buzzer. He banks in the three, and the Lakers win the game.
How fun would it be if the Lakers were actually still playing? But they're not. So just kind of a synopsis in terms of the games last night. So how about the Brooklyn Divas falling in Boston 114-107? So Kyrie can throw up as many middle fingers as he wants. It's not going to get him a victory, as the Nets are now in a crucial situation here, down 0-2 in their first round series against the Boston Celtics. And this is a game that they blew. You look at the first quarter, they were up 9, and I'm just going to pull up the team stats here. They were actually up 17 points, and they lose this one by 7. I mean, that's embarrassing. That shows that, they don't have a heart of a champion, and I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The Brooklyn Nets are not winning any type of title, and I honestly think Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, remainder of their careers, and I know, Kyrie, a couple more years left than KD. Nevertheless, there's a lot of time left. I don't think either of them are winning a championship. And I think it just comes down to the fact there's just a diva, a selfishness that just overtakes them and does not allow them a winning formula. And you look at last night, sure, KD did a good job of getting to the line, 18 of 20 from the free throw line, but 4 of 17 from the field. And I was listening to Dave Rothenberg, me, Michael, Tony, Matthew's favorite guy, on the radio, and he was just saying it was one of the worst performances he's ever seen with Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant, a jumper, it's always flush, it's always right through the net. You're expecting that, and last night it got to the point where every time he shoots, it's like, oh, wow, this isn't going to go in. This is no shot, and it's just like, that's very shocking to see out of KD, but he had 27, but like I said, the 4-17 does him in, and, Brown and Curry played better than Durant and Irving. Kyrie, only 10 points, 4-13 from the floor, did have 8 boards. And then you look at Boston, a very kind of widespread effort from the whole team. I mean, your leading scorer was Brown with 22, but Tatum had 19. Al Horford, a guy that you would think would have retired by now, had 16. Daniel Tice with 15. Marcus Smart with 12. And Michael says Pritchard, stone cold. And it's like hard to argue with that. 16 points, a plus 15, and, if 5 of 7 from the floor. I mean, that's all you can want from a reserve guard. So Peyton Pritchard, a guy that I've lauded for many years, paying dividends in the playoffs. And it's just like, it's tough to take, but I'm going to look at this in terms of, listen, we get the Brooklyn Divas out of here. I'm not rooting for Boston, but they can win this series and then they can fall flat on their face next series. And I think that's what's going to happen. And it looks like, they're going to play the winner of the Chicago-Milwaukee series. And listen, I've always, obviously, since being a supporter of Giannis and having to hear, I've just become a fan of the Bucks. And last night, they didn't get the job done as they fall 114-110, made a comeback push. They were down quite a bit in this game. Giannis had 33 points, 18 boards, 9 assists, 11 of 18 from the free throw line. So, he missed 7 free throws. They shot 64.5% from the line. You had Brooke Lopez, 25 points, including 3 3-pointers, but it was just not enough. DeMar DeRozan, who was, ice cold in game 1, 41 points, 7 rebounds. You had Vucevic, 24 points, 13 boards, as well as Zach LaVine to go along with 20. And it was just a very well-needed and hard-fought victory for the Chicago Bulls. So, they still won on the road. But listen, I would not be surprised. And I've honestly, I'm not a naysayer of the Bulls. I like the Bulls. Obviously, it just injuries, not having Lonzo, inconsistent play down the stretch has kind of changed my opinion of what I think of them. Wouldn't be surprised if this is their only victory in this series. Obviously, the pivotal game 3 will really be a telltale sign. But yeah, it's a loss for the Bucks, but fully confident, that they're going to recover from this. Of course, time will tell. And I haven't seen. Oh, okay. So Middleton though sprained MCL. And it says the results of his MRI will provide a clearer picture of his status, but Middleton figures to miss multiple games with the injury. So that is a big loss for the Bucks. But you have Giannis, you have Drew Holiday. You have Splash Mountain, and you have a team that's the defending NBA champions. So, as important as I can't believe I said Middleton. It must be all the coffee.
They're combining MCL and Middleton. Mike is screaming. He's saying, "How about Embiid game winner? I told you, Barnes Bulls advancing. MCL tear Middleton."
Well, Michael, first of all, I'm with you with Embiid. I thought he would have a big game, and that was big, especially because we know the history. They showed it last night. 2019 Kawhi second round, that 3-pointer that was rim up in the air, rim and in, to eliminate the 76ers. Embiid kind of gets his revenge in Toronto, with that game-winning 3-pointer in overtime. That was exciting. Really, really enjoyed that game, and this was a game once again, big lead by the Raptors. They led by 10 after the first quarter, but just not enough. And obviously 3-0. Everybody knows it. The series is over. You go examples and anything is possible at this point. It's not possible. The Sixers are sweeping, and it's about time for Doc Rivers, for James Harden, who 19 points, 10 assists last night, solid. But of course, they're going to be led by Embiid. That's just how it is. And, Michael's been a big advocate for him. And so have I, because, he's a baller. There's no two ways about it. But, it's like, what are they going to do next round? I think that's the biggest question. And for Toronto, that Scotty Barnes injury really just has done them in. Anunoby, 26 points last night. That was nice. Obviously, Gary Trent, but Fred VanVleet, 3 of 13. Siakam, 6 of 16. Just not enough. So they go down 3-0. And that was last night in the NBA. And we'll take a look in terms of what we got on the schedule for tonight. Let's see what we got here. So game 1, 7:30 TNT, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves. And, a lot of hype, obviously, for Minnesota after that game 1 victory last weekend. However, Memphis answers, big game, winning game 2. So game 3, in Minnesota. So I'm sure A-Rod is going to be juiced up, ready to go in the crowd. I know Towns, I know Edwards, I know Russell. They're going to want to put on a performance for the home fans here. And I think I'm going to die on the hill. I kind of thought, I was texting Mike this past weekend when Minnesota won game 1. I think they really have a chance to win this series. And I'm going to pick them tonight. 236 is the total. So obviously not a lot of defense expected in this one. So I'm going to say we're going to go Minnesota 120, Memphis 115. So going under by 1. And I think we're going to see Anthony Edwards, 40 points, 10 assists, and Cat will go 25 and 17. And despite 40 from Morant, it's just not enough as Minnesota gets their second victory in this series. The other game, we got 2 more, but this one is a standalone on NBA TV, 9 o'clock. It's the Mavs. It's the Jazz. Luka's still out. We saw what Brunson did last game. But, you look at this one, Jazz 7-point favorites. And, you could give me all the numbers about Mitchell and Gobert. What did he have? 18 rebounds last game, whatever the case may be. But I just think the Utah Jazz are a broken team. I think Gobert is going to be gone next season. I think Coach Quinn Snyder is going to be gone next season. So it's going to be Donovan left to do the heavy lifting. It's going to be interesting to see, who they can bring in to give them some help. But I think too many distractions here. Love to see, like I said, what Brunson did last game. And I think he does it again. Dinwiddie has a nice game. Dallas on the road here, game 3. Give me Dallas 116-98. So this one will actually go over. And a tough one to take for Utah. I mean, the playoff failures continue. Michael says Minnesota game winner Edwards. Love it unequivocally, Michael. Unequivocally. And then so that would be the 9 o'clock game. And then the last one, second half of the doubleheader on TNT. Yeah, he's going Mavs again. Love it, love it, love it. I'm sure Tony has the Jazz by 50. Not gonna happen, Tony. Sorry. Warriors, Nuggets, 10 o'clock TNT. Oh, Curry off the bench. He's so good. They're up 2-0. The Warriors are back. The heyday, this and that. Listen, I've seen this. Everybody just gets excited about one game and then you lose focus of the task ahead. And I think one thing we have to keep in mind is this game is in Denver. It's not at the Chase Center. It's not in San Francisco. It's in Denver. The altitude, not to mention the fans are pumped up. Jokic is tight. And, I've been listening to Mad Dog Sports Radio the last couple of days. Oh, you could see body language. Nuggets are done. Nonsense. I'm telling you, the Jordan Poole, oh my God, he's the next Michael Jordan all of a sudden. I mean, give me a break. Give me Denver here. I'm going to say Jokic, 50 points. As the Nuggets defeat the Warriors 113-85. Big blowout. Curry, 2 for 19 from the floor. Probably the most misses he's ever had in a playoff game. I mean, maybe that game 7 against the Cavs, I'd have to dive into the numbers. So I just don't think that they get the job done as far as I'm concerned. So that would, get the Nuggets temporarily back in the series. We'll see what happens. But the NBA keeps turning along. Baseball's heating up. Hockey's about to start the playoffs. It's just a great time in the world of sports. Do we have a comment, Renee?
We have a new viewer here. We have Michael W. Kelly. I'm new to this channel. I'm so happy to be here. Welcome, Michael.
Welcome, Michael. Love to have you. And it's funny, you say Michael, you think of Mike.
Yeah.
There's room for more. So definitely happy to have you, and definitely feel free to keep commenting. And you can always give us a call. We have the number listed below. We'd love to hear from you just in terms of your sports thoughts. And really to Michael Kelly, welcome in, Matthew says. So really the only other areas, I just wanted to touch on here. Steph, Clay combined for 60. Settle down, Michael. Settle down. Not you, Michael Kelly, but Michael Theophil. Just to clear that up. Anyhow, so a couple things, that came out yesterday. The first, really like a big surprise. Only 60 years old, Jay Wright retires after 20 seasons at the helm at Villanova. Really did not see that one coming. I know he wanted to get his former assistant the job. He was at Fordham. Now he's going to come back to Villanova. Possibly setting up for maybe Jay Wright to go to the NBA. I know they said, oh, no, this is it. He's done. He's grateful. He's going to be part of the family, this and that. But I don't know. Just seems Jay Wright does not seem like a guy retiring. I mean, you think about it, Krzyzewski, 14 years older. Jim Boeheim, probably about the same, and he's still coaching. So I think there's a little smoke here. We'll see what happens. Could be a little Sean Payton situation, with the Saints. But obviously, the body of work, the 2 national titles at Villanova, getting to the Final Four with not a great team this past season. Congratulations to Jay Wright. You've really done it well, and I hope that his assistant, former assistant anyway, can really continue the program that he built. So congratulations to Jay Wright on a great career at Villanova, and like I said, wouldn't be surprised if we see on the NBA level. The last bit of news that I wanted to cover here, big bomb yesterday that came out. And, we had kind of heard some rumblings about that just because, he fit the bill in terms of the guy that wasn't a first-round pick, has developed into a star last year of the contract. You hear about that with A.J. Brown, with Metcalf. I mean, it's the same thing over and over and over again. Deebo Samuel. Asking the Niners to trade him, and a little confusion in terms of why he wants out. Supposedly, he's saying that he doesn't want to be used the way he's been used, which would allude to the fact about running the ball in the backfield. I don't buy it. I think he wants like quarterback money, and they don't want to give it to him, and he doesn't want to say that publicly, so that's why he's asking for a trade. Obviously, the Niners are a little tight on cap space because they're paying Jimmy G, what is it, $18-20 million. I can't get any takers for him, coming off the shoulder surgery. But I mentioned it on Facebook before. Michael loved the comment. The New York Jets here. This is the time to get involved. We had the swing and miss at Tyreek Hill. Deebo Samuel would be an absolute game changer. The just really bolt of lightning that this New York Jets offense needs. And obviously, like I said, I think he'll carry the ball out of the backfield. He just wants a big salary. And listen, the one thing that does concern me, I think he's an all-pro. He's had some injury concerns, but just when I think about non-quarterbacks getting record-setting deals, the hit rate on those. I don't have a statistic in front of me, but if I had to put a finger on it, and especially getting through to the end, what is it, 10-15%? So uphill battle, but the Jets are in a position with cap space, with draft capital to make a move. And initially, I was thinking, all right, we'll give up those 2 seconds. Obviously, we'll sign him to a contract extension, but we'll probably have to give him, maybe a fourth as well, a fourth and a sixth, something along those lines, something similar to the Tyreek Hill offer, that they had on the table. However, I'm hearing that it's probably going to take the 10th pick, which I'm a little hesitant for. But, listening to Dave in the morning, he's saying you got to just go for it. And, Drake London, a guy that's been rumored for the Jets, doesn't quite create the separation despite being the big body. And that's just the other thing with Deebo is, he's not a big receiver, and we thought Mims was going to be that guy. Clearly he's not. So it would be nice to have a big body receiver, but you could still draft one and trade for Deebo. So I think when push comes to shove, even if it is a $30 million per season contract, 4 years, 120, whatever the case may be, I think you just do it. And you just think about the array of weapons that Zach Wilson will have. Obviously Michael Carter coming back. We saw Elijah Moore burst on the scene. They sign Conklin and Uzomah at the tight end position. And then Braxton Berrios gets re-signed. And you think about all those guys. Plus Corey Davis, he was the big free agent acquisition last offseason. Struggled with injuries this year. What if he's balling out? I mean, this could be crazy. This could be something that we really have not seen out of the New York Jets, maybe ever in franchise history. Because you think about the good teams, a lot of them had good defenses. And, even if they were successful on the field, even if they made it to the AFC Championship like they did back-to-back in 2009 and 2010, they were never, setting the way, setting the tone, leading the way offensively in the National Football League. And this would give them an opportunity to do so. Obviously, all of this hinges on the performance of Zach Wilson. But he has the arm talent. He was put in a bad situation last year. I think, the offensive line played well, and I think will even be even better this year. A big wild card is going to be what you're going to get out of Mekhi Becton. Obviously, a top pick a couple years ago. Struggled with injury last year, couldn't make it back after an early season injury. Some questions about the weight. So it's like, what type of shape is he going to come into this season? There were some rumblings. Maybe they try to deal him. I say stick it out. I mean, I think he's got ability. I think he'll be motivated with a better team around him. So I just can't wait. A week from today, the NFL draft, all these questions are going to be answered, and the future of the New York Jets there's going to be a clear picture ahead of us. So I cannot wait for that. But really, I mean, that's all I could tell you for today. Matthew says, or Metcalf. Yeah, Metcalf would be great. I love the big body receiver as well. So I think either one would be fine. I would think in terms of compensation that Deebo would probably cost more just because of his ability to run the ball out of the backfield. And I think Metcalf, maybe you could get away with the 2 seconds. So I definitely like that. I don't think you could go wrong either way, because I mean, it more than anybody, Matt. The Jets have just not had that all-pro offensive weapon. I mean, it just has not been there. I mean, sure, what did Brandon Marshall have 15 touchdowns that year with Fitzmagic? But, it was a flash in the pan and just some guy that we could count on for the next 3 to 4 years to be first team all pro, to have 15 touchdowns, to be streaking down the field. I mean, it would just be quite the opportunity to get either of those guys. So I really can't wait. I just have such a good feeling. And I know I've been really saying it for years. Watch out. Jets are going to be better. And, you get caught in that trap. I mean, if you think about it, the years just go by. I mean, they made that second AFC Championship game appearance in 2010. I mean, this is the 12th year. They haven't been to the playoffs. Almost made it back in, I think that was 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Or 2015, obviously fits with the chunker in Buffalo. So, you want to see growth, and I think we're going to finally see it this year, but it all hinges on the rest of this offseason and hitting on those picks in the NFL draft, as well as the development of Rob Saleh with Mike LaFleur, brother of Matt, and then Zach Wilson. So looking forward to it. Can't wait. But like I said, that's really all I have for today, but what a show. Appreciate the interaction with our listeners, and Renizzi holding it down on the other side of the glass, unequivocally best in the business, without a doubt.
Thanks, Barnes. Right back at you. Best in the biz. Appreciate
it. But everyone, keep commenting, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep going back, to our YouTube page, the archives. How to make a thumbnail with Renee. That one's on there. We haven't mentioned that one.
That one, yeah.
Tease. And then, of course, Tony dressed up in all these ridiculous costumes, something to laugh about. So definitely take a look at that, as well as me and him battling it out on the hardwood. So got to look out for that one as well. And then, of course, the merch at downtimetv.com. But everybody enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.